The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has a lot of cool, new and interesting features that we haven't seen in previous games. But which new features would be the best? There are so many new things in the game. The huge open world, the shrines, crafting and way more. Well, it's that time again. Time for a top 5 cool new features in Breath of the Wild. Number 5. Now the Zelda games were always more of an action-adventure game than a real RPG. They never had any custom armor that you could find. No armor ratings, no different items, no crafting. But this all changed. In Breath of the Wild you can finally switch out your gear. For example, different types of weapons like swords, hammers, spears and way more. This is great stuff because it feels like you're progressing. In time you will become stronger and look more awesome. And you can also finally craft your own stuff. For example, the cooking that we saw in the demo. Now this leaves the door open to so many options, and it's also a very fun way to kill time. The things that you find in the game have a purpose. It's not just rupees and hearts anymore. You can find all kinds of things, and you can do all kinds of things with it. Find new recipes, experiment with strange combinations, and maybe they will even include blacksmithing so you can make your own custom gear. But this kind of depends on what we can do in the villages. Now, it's not something new. RPG games have been doing these kinds of things for years, but Nintendo finally put a proper version of it all into a Zelda game. Number 4. Now the AI of enemies is really important because it will determine how they will behave. And they have done a really good job on this in Breath of the Wild. The bokoblins are smart and have really funny reactions to certain situations. For example, when you take their weapons away.
Then picked up his weapons, and now it's like, what is this dude gonna do? He's not gonna do anything.
Oh, there's one.
Yeah, check him out. That dude,
It's just
I think that was dirt.
Now games like The Witcher 3 also have a really good AI. But Nintendo takes it a step further by giving the enemies more reactions to new scenarios. And besides this, there are a lot of ways how you can take out your enemies and solve problems. For example, instead of attacking a bokoblin camp head on, you can roll a boulder off the mountain and crush them all. The bokoblins will also react differently to each option, which is interesting. Now this is a good thing because it gives the feeling that your enemies aren't dumb and have a will and mind of their own. And the multiple options give a sense of choice and freedom. You can do things your own way. Number 3. Now in most games there are boundaries. Certain places where you just can't go. But this doesn't exist in Breath of the Wild. You can easily climb over anything and go anywhere. You see that mountain there in the distance? You can reach that. But what if there's a mountain in the way? You can't walk around it or jump over it. Well, just climb over it. It's that easy. And for traveling through the plains, you can use your horse, which you can tame later in the game. There are so many options on how to go through the land. And besides this, we have a whole world to explore, which is around 10 times bigger than Skyrim. Some people already spent hundreds of hours exploring in Skyrim. Can you even imagine how that will be in Breath of the Wild? There's enough to see and explore in the world, and there's nothing that holds you back. Number 2. Now Breath of the Wild is set in a huge open world. But what will we do in this world? Well, one of those things is the shrines. There are more than 100 in the game. The shrines are some sort of mini challenges filled with traps, puzzles and way more. Some are huge and difficult, and some are really small and easy. The shrines have very cool puzzles that use the newfound ability that you get at the beginning of the shrine. But it's not sure if you get a new power at each shrine. And these puzzles are very different from the old ones. They feel more interactive thanks to the sheikah slate and the physics. Overall, the shrines are very fun, innovative, challenging, and maybe you'll get a big reward if you complete them all. Number 1. Now what's the best feature about the new Zelda game? Well, the answer is simple. The physics engine. Breath of the Wild has a very special and interesting physics engine, and this was also the reason why the game was delayed. This engine was built for the sheikah slate abilities and to make the world look more realistic. Oh, and it's certainly more realistic. This engine has effect on almost everything that happens in the world. Falling boulders, items, fire and way more. Fires can turn into huge forest fires and you can completely lose control of the situation and almost kill yourself. Boulders can fly in weird ways when you hit them and fly towards you or an enemy. The weirdest thing I've seen so far is that you can launch Link up in the air by dropping a boulder on a beam which Link is standing on. Now we also come across a lot of puzzles which use this physics engine to make it more fun, difficult or interesting. This physics engine gives us so many options, so many different outcomes. It creates a whole new concept on its own. And that's why it's the best thing in the entire game. Now before you go, tell me your favorite feature in Breath of the Wild in the comments down below. I'm really curious. How great that you watched the entire video. I hope you enjoyed it. I worked really hard on it. And if you want to watch more of my videos, click the annotations on the screen right now or in the upper right corner. And why not subscribe? Then you won't miss a thing.